The truth behind the Jacob Trouba trade has been revealed, and some of the details are pretty shocking and may surprise Rangers fans. The former New York captain speaks out on joining the Ducks, and I believe it's safe to say that Chris Drury is not done his shakeup yet. We're going to break it all down in this episode of Rangers Digest. But before we do, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 70% of you who watch these videos are not actually subscribed to the channel. So if you want to do yourself a favor, hit that subscribe button. It's free, and you get to stay up to date with everything New York Rangers. And again, a special shout out to everybody who is subscribed to the channel and joining me along on this ride this season. A very interesting season for the New York Rangers. Shout out to all of you, and we appreciate the support. Now, let's get right into it. Obviously, Jacob Trouba was traded yesterday to the Anaheim Ducks in a pretty surprising deal. The fact that the Ducks took on all $8 million of Jacob Trouba's salary is pretty impressive work from Chris Drury. I'll give him credit where credit is due. I've been very critical of him in the past, but sometimes you have to give credit where credit is due, and he made it work. But it isn't without controversy with Jacob Trouba, and obviously what he did to Barclay Goodrow during the summer as well. We'll get to that. And this is from Eric Stevens, acknowledging the waivers threat from the Rangers. Jacob Trouba discusses the end of his time in New York and embracing a new opportunity in Anaheim. And now Jacob Trouba, while the Rangers were playing last night and they beat the Pittsburgh Penguins, who were actually on a 4-game winning streak, so the team looked a little bit different last night. I will give that to them. We'll see if they'll continue to build off this with a game tomorrow as well. But they looked a little bit different, and Jacob Trouba during the game was speaking to the media, and this is from Greg Wyshynski, and we'll get to some other very interesting quotes from Jacob Trouba as well, and how the trade kind of got done. He said that he asked Jacob Trouba if the Rangers discussed putting him on waivers as a pressure point to have him waive for a trade, and Jacob Trouba said that yes, that did happen, and it was actually a threat. And I thought this quote was more telling from Jacob Trouba. He went on to say in the media availability, yesterday morning, it was accept this trade or we're scratching you. He said, okay. Then it was accept this trade or you're going on waivers. I said, okay. It's a rite of passage to get fired from MSG, And I thought that last part was kind of funny. I mean, we'll get into the captaincy thing in a minute. We also have some insight into, what the Rangers are going to do going forward without Jacob Trouba in terms of captaincy. But I thought that was interesting. Yesterday morning, it was accept this trade or we're scratching you. He said, okay. Clearly, they ended up, they were going to scratch him, roster management, whatever you want to call it. Then it was accept this trade or you're going on waivers. So that was kind of the move. Obviously, when he did not go on waivers yesterday afternoon at 2 o'clock, you kind of knew, okay, a trade is coming here. Somebody's trading for him. The rumor was that Columbus kind of pulled out at the last minute there around 1 o'clock. And then, obviously, the Anaheim Ducks stepped up and made the trade, and he was on his way to Anaheim. And one other interesting thing that I found out last night, too, is Anaheim was on Jacob Trouba's 15-team no-trade list. So Jacob Trouba did waive to go to Anaheim. He did choose Anaheim as the best spot for himself because at the end of the day, the Rangers were going to place him on waivers if he did not accept the trade, and he could have went anywhere, right? So he accepted to go to Anaheim. And one thing I also want to touch on, too, before we go any further in the video is Jacob Trouba is a great person. He did great work in the community. He was also a great captain for the New York Rangers. So the fact that this kind of went down, you feel for him as a person, but at the end of the day, as a Rangers fan, it goes on. It's a business. We want the Rangers to win. The Rangers need to give themselves the best opportunity to win, and I think that Chris Drury did that, offloading the $8 million. But again, he was a great person, did great work in the community, and it's, tough to go through something like this, and I understand why all the players were going through it. But at the end of the day, the Rangers got to do what they have to do to win. And getting rid of Goodrow during the summer in a similar type of way, asking him to waive his no trade clause, and then obviously he didn't do that. He waived him. They had to deal with San Jose to kind of claim him off waivers if he were to go on waivers. He was not happy with the way that happened. Jacob Trouba not happy with the way that this happened either. Jacob Trouba was speaking on a Ducks conference call, and he expressed both his disappointment and frustration with how things unfolded with the Rangers from the summer on and how it impacted his play and his ability to lead. And that's from Dan Rosen. And he went on to say, I'll be honest, I was put in a position this summer to make a decision between my career and my family. I chose my family like I think most people would. Don't blame him at all for saying this or doing that. I would choose my family 100 times over again. I don't feel bad about it. I was happy about it. I don't like that everything during the summer. He basically went on to say he doesn't like how everything was made public during the summer. Obviously, we found out that, he nixed a trade to the Detroit Red Wings there on the draft floor, essentially, or the next day on July 1st. He put them on his no trade list because they weren't originally, after he found out that that's where Chris Drury wanted to send him. So obviously he wasn't happy with that getting out, all the leaks. So I think it kind of just snowballed from there. It was tough for him to lead because it was public knowledge, and obviously other guys in the locker room knew what was going on. So it's tough for a player to go through something like that and then perform at the highest level. And I think he knew that the writing was on the wall anyway. We've talked about it on the channel. I think he knew, everybody knew, you're getting traded after this season anyway. So maybe he just wasn't there. His head wasn't in the game. And again, he had a great opportunity here to win again with the New York Rangers. They have Stanley Cup aspirations still this season, I believe. I think that's what their goal is. But when you look at the way that they were playing, his head wasn't in the game. He knew maybe the writing was on the wall, and maybe he knew, it's time here. And they were going to trade him this coming off season anyway. So I thought that was very interesting. And he went on to say, too, in the conference call that, in my opinion, things could have been handled better. I'm not blaming anybody or anything, just kind of how it happened. And you can also understand that. But again, it's a business. The Rangers got to do what they got to do to make the team better. And now they have $8 million more in cap space that they can use to go out and get somebody in season. Also, they freed up a little bit of that cap space to now sign Igor Shesterkin, who they did sign yesterday to an 8-year extension at $11.5 million. So they needed cap space to do that as well, even though the salary cap is going up and they have some more expiring deals. Keandre Miller, I'm looking at you. Don't know if you're getting a significant raise, as we talked about a couple days ago, but thought this was very interesting from Jacob Trouba. Now to move on a little bit too, in terms of the future, right? And obviously we're moving past Jacob Trouba at this point. There was a lot of fallout from the trade. He wasn't happy with, the way it went down and the fact that he was probably going to be placed on waivers if he did not accept the trade. But we move forward now. The Rangers no longer have a captain. Are they going to name a captain? And when asked this morning, this was just a little while ago from Peter Baugh, Peter Laviolette said there is no plan to name a Rangers captain or an additional alternate captain with Jacob Trouba gone. He said they'll go forward with the current leadership group. And I think I talked about in a video yesterday, one of the videos yesterday, that if Jacob Trouba were to be traded or, go through waivers, if he was indeed done with the New York Rangers, I am not sure right now is the best time to just pick a new captain. I can understand if guys want to step up into that leadership role, and I think that's what guys have to do right now. They need to step up in the room and on the ice, and I think the whole team will galvanize kind of around that instead of maybe one guy. I could understand, there are a lot of people thinking, name Trocheck captain right now, or just name a captain and everyone kind of rally around that. I don't know if that's exactly what you need right now. I think it has to be a group effort. We no longer have a captain. This is the accountability I'm talking about. Everybody is accountable at this point. Let's get going. Let's put some wins together. We're a better team than we've shown. So I think it kind of falls on everyone's shoulders right now. There is no more captain. We have to make it happen for ourselves. So I think that's the direction they're planning on going. I think that's the direction they should go in. I have said that, but I can understand the other side of things in that perspective as well. I do appreciate that. But let me know in the comments what you think of all the fallout from the Jacob Trouba trade. Sounds like he was not happy necessarily to leave New York, but business is business. The Rangers have to do what's best for the Rangers to win, and Rangers fans want to see the Rangers win and go deep in the playoffs. And now it's going to be interesting. They looked a little bit different last night. If they can continue to build off of an effort like that and get their game back, get their swagger back, I wonder what's next for the New York Rangers, because I think Chris Drury, the shakeup's not done. I think he has at least one more significant move up his sleeve. So we'll see what happens. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.